when do you have to fight?
Well, now, that's a mighty feisty little question for a tender young soul like yours.
Are you saying that fighting is only a job for men?
No, you're absolutely right. Pugnaciousness and polemics is part and parcel of the human condition, you might say.
War is a serious matter.
War is a matter most grave. One must be apprehensive lest one embark upon it without due reflection.
Sun Tzu, Art of War, Chapter 1, Estimate.
Well, what have we got here? Looks like I retired from the military just in time.
So there's a time for war and a time for peace?
Ecclesiastes 3:8, that's right. But you know, the hardest thing about reflecting on the right time of war is that it's not always up to you.
Of course, there are also times when the enemy calls for war, but the right response is to walk away.
Sun Tzu?
Exodus.
Book of Exodus?
Chapter 14.
14. The Lord will do battle for you.
Looks like I'm graduating from Hebrew school just in time.
Well, there ain't nothing a good book don't cover, even the art of war.
In their exit journey from Egypt to Mount Sinai, the Israelites confronted the great army of Pharaoh.
And Moses told them, the Lord will do battle for you.
You just be quiet.
Beg your pardon?
That's how the verse ends. The Lord will do battle for you, and you just be quiet.
Oh, I see, right. Israelites didn't have to lift a finger or say boo. God did all the fighting for them. Must be nice.
3 chapters later, however, the same people who didn't have to lift a finger or say boo to Pharaoh's army find themselves in bloody hand-to-hand combat with the Amalekites.
That's right. Moses said to Joshua, go out and fight Amalek.
Time for war. For actively taking up the sword.
Very interesting. So, what's the difference?
So on the simplest level, the difference is the position of the enemies. Pharaoh's armies were behind the Israelites, Amalek in front.
Well now, but that may be just a strategic difference.
In some cases, yes, but not in this case, because here, the destination is what matters.
Destination? You mean Mount Sinai?
Where Mount Sinai means...
The reception of the Holy Pentateuch, the Torah.
The fact that Pharaoh's armies were behind them meant that they weren't blocking the way to Sinai, to the Torah.
Whereas in the case of the Amalekites, they were blocking the way? And I suppose that blocking the way here is not just a matter of a physical barrier.
When Moshe comes to reflect on the war later on in his life in Deuteronomy, he says to the people, you must remember what Amalek did to you on the way when you came out of Egypt.
How he, Amalek, chanced upon you on your way and cut off the stragglers at the rear.
This word chanced, in Hebrew karcha, is interpreted in the Midrash in terms of its root, kar, which means cold.
What does coldness have to do with...
The Midrash is saying that Amalek wanted to cool down the Israelites.
Well, in my experience, Jews are a warm folk.
They were hot, boiling hot in their faith, which is why the Midrash compares Amalek to a lunatic who jumps into a scalding hot bath just to cool down the water.
You mean like some kamikaze atheist wants to prove that faith in God is a bluff?
Who wants to obstruct the Jews' access to the Torah.
So that's why Amalek blocked the way to Sinai. It wasn't just a physical barrier, it was a spiritual one.
Which is why the Israelites had to confront Amalek head-on. They had to fight.
Which they didn't have to do in confrontation with Pharaoh's armies because they were behind them?
The fact that Pharaoh's armies were behind them means that they didn't block the way to Sinai. Pharaoh just wanted them back as slaves.
Just as slaves, huh?
Well, they actually wanted to go back to Egypt.
Come again?
I know, it's weird, but they missed the food in Egypt.
Miss the grub? What's that about? Like food addiction?
They were deeply sunken in consumerism, materialism.
Oh, I see. And Pharaoh must have been more than happy to feed their addiction on condition that they be his slaves.
And for that, they didn't need to fight Pharaoh. They needed to fight their own addiction, which is something that God would help them with.
Right. Pharaoh had no interest in borrowing their way to Sinai. That's why they could just walk away with God's help.
So long as the enemy of Israel simply wants to make their lives miserable without targeting their passion for God and Torah, it's better for Jacob to leave the sword to Esau, the natural-born warrior and hunter.
But when an enemy takes aim at Israel's passion for God, that's when Jacob takes up the sword of Esau.
And they can't rely on God to fight their fight for them. precisely because they need to show their passion for God. Their passion for God.
Their passion for Torah.
Their passion for Torah.
Their passionate readiness to fight for the Torah.
Tooth and nail.
No holds barred, tooth
And nail.
I guess that's what they call the walls of the Lord. Well, too bad I'm a retired soldier. I wouldn't mind a bit of holy combat these days myself.
Come on now, Major. No one's ever too old for a holy fight.